Dave Hatter is a cybersecurity consultant with Intrust IT and joins us live. Dave, always great to see you. So, as we just laid out there, cyber attacks aren't necessarily a new thing. But what does it tell you that a university is responding by delaying the start of classes, which again were supposed to start today, but now will not start until Monday?
Well, as always, thanks for having me on, Nicole. And it's not surprising to me, bad guys understand that some organizations are schedule driven, and the likelihood of them being able to extort a ransom out of you or whatever it is they're looking to get, assuming it's not just chaos and disruption, goes up if they can impact you at a critical time, like right before school starts. And for what it's worth, I have a son who is now starting in college here in the greater Cincinnati region. The high school he went to last year was part of that Canvas attack. So I have some firsthand experience with this, unfortunately. And this also shows you the issue of third-party risk. As we outsource more services and rely on more external companies to provide services, and I'm not against that, don't get me wrong, the cloud is very beneficial in most ways. It does show you how third-party risk like the Canvas attack comes into play. And that doesn't sound like that's what happened here. This sounds like an attack on their internal systems. I read their press release. It looks like their phone system was down. But it doesn't surprise me that a targeted attack happened right around the time school is going to start, because again, it gives the bad guys extra leverage.
All right, so Dave, a mass message went out saying in part that the university needs the necessary time to restore services. What types of things are these hackers trying to access?
Well, it depends, Nicole. It kind of depends on what their objective is. Again, and sometimes, and we've seen this increasingly in the critical infrastructure sector, like attacks on water plants across the United States, attacks on ports. Sometimes it is just chaos and disruption because it's an adversarial nation state like the Chinese Communist Party, China, Russia, et cetera. In most cases, though, when they're attacking some sort of non-critical infrastructure sector, it's usually about money. It's often ransomware or something similar to ransomware, where they are going to shut your systems down, exfiltrate data if they can, because the data gives them extra leverage. Because ideally, you have backups of your systems, the systems are shut down. Rather than pay the ransom, you just restore your systems from a trusted, known backup and go on about your business. And that's when they hit you with the second prong, which is, well, while we were encrypting your data and shutting you down, we exfiltrated, we stole data from you. We're going to release this data if you don't pay a ransom. And I think it's potentially, or especially rather, problematic with students or like in the healthcare sector, because, do you really want your child's sensitive academic records, mental health records, whatever else they might have, exposed on the internet for all time? No, you don't. So again, in many cases, these guys know that by attacking organizations like a university or a K-12 school, especially right at the start of school or right around exam times, gives them extra leverage, and that's sensitive data in many cases. Now, UT is saying no data has been stolen at this point. That remains to be seen. Often as the forensics take place, you'll find the damage is more extensive than you first realized. I hope they're right.
So what types of safeguards, Dave, can be put in place now in a matter of days, particularly if they weren't already there before?
Well, also an excellent question, Nicole. And again, it kind of depends on the attack vector the bad guys used to get in and what they went after. It could be requiring people to reset passwords. It could be changing firewall rules. It could be additional antivirus / MDR, XDR software. It could be something like a SIM to track the logs. It could be just general hardening their environment, turning off services that aren't used. Unfortunately, Nicole, there are so many things that go into this. And for folks interested, there are great frameworks out there, like the Center for Internet Security Critical Controls, that give you a starting point. You don't have to just know all this stuff yourself. You can turn to these for best practices for how to harden your environment. And one of the most important things, honestly, is to have an inventory. What systems do we have? What risk do they create? And then having backups, right? Tested backups so that in the event you have an outage for whatever reason, it doesn't have to be a cyber attack, could be hardware failure, could be bad software, could be solar flare. You can restore from backup and ultimately get back up and running with minimal downtime.
So we continue to see these massive cyber attacks in the news. Just yesterday, the DOJ unsealed new and updated charges against 17 people working with an Iranian company that it alleges carried out hacks and data theft against U.S. universities, against U.S. companies, against government agencies. Dave, what is the bigger lesson here for all of us?
Well, I'm glad that you're showing the Stryker logo in there, because that was a devastating cyber attack earlier this year. Large company, they make medical devices. They're used in hospitals. They're used by first responders. They had well over 100,000 devices knocked offline through an attack. And there was concern, will these devices work? So again, sometimes it's critical infrastructure, sometimes they're going after money. Increasingly, Nichole, in our very, very digital society, everything's electronic, we do everything online, these things are interconnected. And I guess the bigger takeaway is every organization out there has to understand they're a target. There's no organization that's too small because they all have money and they have data that's worth money if they can get to that. I hear all the time as a professional trying to convince organizations to take this seriously, follow best practices, things like that. Oh, I'm too small. I don't have anything to worry about. Your money is worth stealing. They will steal your money. They'll steal your data to get to it. And depending on, their ultimate objective, they'll steal your trade secrets. They'll steal our military secrets. We as a country and as individuals, as organizations have got to understand, and I encourage everyone, check out the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center report for last year and see how the numbers went up. We are under attack by cyber criminal gangs, by individuals, by nation state actors. We have got to get serious about protecting our critical infrastructure, protecting our organizations before catastrophe strikes. Some businesses will not survive this kind of attack.
Cybersecurity expert Dave Hatter, thank you.
Thanks, Nichole.